Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to...
Earlier on, you said something about having plans, to come back to Nigeria. Would you like to be more specific? When should your fans in Nigeria be looking forward to having you back?
I should be in Nigeria before the dusk or the close of 2023, coming to compete the field with the young boys like Moody and all the other young ones in the industry. I'm very appreciative of what they do, what they've done. They've built on the legacy that we created. And I pray every day that they will be bigger than what we did and contribute more even to the fashion capital.
Now, the interest in fashion designing, what prompted it? What triggered it?
I've always been a creative animal. What you call genetic means the cat that can live many lives. So I learned a bit from my mother. I was inspired by my environment. I was inspired by the abundance of what I call the fire tantrums of Nigeria, affected by the music, particularly Afrobeat, affected by a guy I call Prophet Fela Anikulapo Bakuti. In his music, you can see the fire of African fashion. And I went to school. I am properly educated from the University of Benin, the Department of Theatre Arts, College of Creative Arts, and my degrees are in theatre, television, and film. I also worked for a company called Silverbird Productions Limited. We were the franchise owners of the Most Beautiful Girl in Nigeria pageant, the Miss Intercontinental pageant, the Miss Africa pageant, and also the Miss Universe and the Miss World. That opened me up to a plethora of designers like Dakova, Mon Ami, and I made our garments for our beauty queens, the Miss Nigeria contestant in this pageant. I left Silverbird in 1991, worked as an apprentice, and got tailors from one of the formidable tailors that was trained in London, and started making suits. From there, we branched out to contemporary African fashion, different from the traditional African fashion statement. And we tend to compromise and capture our rites of passage, our signs and symbols, our historics as Africans, and celebrate that we are African, we are black, and we are indeed proud.
So what makes a good fashion designer?
You have to be potently and adamantly creative. You have to collect the audacity of hope and the audacity of creativity. And you have to marry your experience in your own humanity. You have to marry your creativity with your visuals around you. I am lucky to be being affected by mentors like Ben Mure-Bruce, who are sharp power dressers, Mofe Richard Damijo, who is one of Nigeria's most elegant power dresser, and men like Omo Ageges, the Mofe Boyos. I capture and I've learned from them, and I won't forget Oscar Ibru, and why would I forget Texe Bedi? These are power dressers that affect us along the journey, and we've been able to capture that creativity and that essence in our African historics. And also Kabiyesi, the Oni Ife of Adeyeye Babatunde Ogunwusi. His fashion sense is just extraordinary. If I were a woman, I would marry him 20 times.
So what is the commonest mistake, that I have noticed with most fashion designers?
The issue of structure. Fashion is about structure. Fashion is not just take cloth and a pair of scissors and color the design. No. You have to create structure. The elementals, the spinal cord of a garment must be strong and must be visible. I am a suit maker. It means I pad fabric on fabric to create garments. So I'm affected by structure. I'm affected by design. Though technology has changed all that, we're now in the areas where we use CAD technology to design garments. But we still go back to the old ordained culture of garment making with needle and cloth. And I'm happy that I'm affected by this elemental.
Now, what does it take to dress well?
It's a matter of perspective, really. Right now, I'm decked in an African garment, and I see myself as king and servant. You could be decked in a suit and see yourself as king and servant. You're so elegantly dressed. What it takes really is understanding the elements of power applying the elementals to your dress culture, and also capturing a very niche area of fashion, and that niche area is contemporary, like street contemporary, so that a young boy in the streets of Hollywood, or my son who is 19 in the canals of Atlanta, can buy a Kese Jabari from a shop in London and wear it proudly to say I'm elegantly black and proud.
Kese Jabari Akamune was very, very big in Nigeria before you relocated to the United States of America.
Before I jackpot.
So what would you say has been the greatest thing, that being into fashion designing has done for you?
Fashion designing as an industry has brought me to the limelight. It has put my name on the signpost and the cardboards of life. It has given me a permanent place in the history of the fashion industry in Nigeria, of which I'm perpetually grateful. Fashion design is a mode of expression, is artistic, it captures the elementals of our humanity, and I'm lucky to be a vessel to use needle and thread, and also use kente and adire to begin to define our life as a people.
Okay. Now, talking about your plans, to come back home, how do you think you'll be able to cope with the current crop of designers who are currently running things, like we say in town, on the streets?
I'm not coming to Nigeria to compete, neither am I coming to fight for space. My space is there. 25 years after Kese Jabari left the land of the little spirits, and now in the land of white spirits, I've been able to create a niche in this market. I've worked with some of the best designers in the world. I still work in Nigeria. I have my tailor and my contemporaries, Mon Ami, in Nigeria making garments for Kese Jabari. In fact, we're launching a line, Kese Jabari by Mon Ami. I'm also launching a line, Kabiesi, the king, who cannot be questioned by Kese Jabari. Just a few months ago, we put his picture on the signboards and the billboards of New York Times Square, celebrating the man who cannot be questioned, celebrating Anikulapo Kuti, the man who carries death in his pouch, celebrating the genuineness and the homogeneousness of our humanity as a people, capturing our art, capturing our craft, capturing our culture. In fact, it's just phenomenal. I am perpetually grateful to these mentors. Oh, I cannot even begin to forget Erelu Fernandez. She is one powerful dresser that I took some tenets from.